Hi Scorpios, welcome to your December 2018 Tarology 33 bonus love reading. This reading is just a thank you to you guys because your November videos had the most likes, views, new subscribers. And for those of you who haven't seen the spread before, this is basically a variation of the past, present, future spread. And so I'll give you the card breakdown one by one. In the top left position here, this would represent your past influence on a potential relationship. Below that, this would represent your love interest. That would be their past influence on a potential relationship. This would be your present influence on a potential relationship. Their present influence on a potential relationship. And then this would be the likely outcome of the potential relationship. Then we have an oracle card like we do with the regular readings that we'll read at the end to help tie everything together. And notice I was saying potential relationship, so this is primarily a spread meant for singles, but maybe for some of you in a relationship this might resonate as well. But it is primarily aimed for people who are looking for a relationship, so still single. And these are different decks than I use. Also what I did was I used a clarifier deck this time. Since I gave you guys a similar reading last month, I figured we'd switch it up a bit. So the two decks that I used for that, we have the Lover's Path Tarot. These are the bigger cards there, and that's what we normally use for the love readings. And then the clarifier deck being used is the Tarot of the New Vision deck. Alright, so let's go through the cards one by one, starting with your past influence on the potential relationship. And we have the Six of Cups. So a few things come to mind when I look at this card. First is the fact that this actually is a Scorpio card for me. It represents between 10 to 20 degrees of Scorpio. So for those of you born the first 10 days of November, this might resonate for you more. Or let's say you have a rising sign or moon sign within 10 to 20 degrees of Scorpio. This could be aimed at you a little bit more too. Timeline-wise, though, this could just be saying, since this is a December reading, this could just be saying that you reconnected with someone at the beginning of November. And that wouldn't be a surprise. We had the Venus retrograde stuff going on now, back then, rather, and now we still have Mercury in retrograde, too, so there's a lot of retrograde energies. It's not a stretch at all to think that you would have reconnected with someone from your past. So we'll see as the reading goes along, but it could be playing out a couple ways, which is to say that this person that we'll be looking at down here is someone from your past that you reconnected with, or this could be a potential love interest, but you reconnected with someone from your past that might have threw things off between the two of you. So we'll see as we go along, like I said. And sometimes this is just, even if you don't know the person from the past, it could be a connection that it's one of those, everyone's had one of those connections where you do meet someone and you feel like you've known them forever. It could be pointing to that as well. We need to point that out. But the clarifier card that we had with that is actually the Strength card. So for some of you, you could have been dealing with a Leo. This is my major arcana card that usually represents Leo. You see the line there, that's the Leo symbol. But this deck has some other things that stuck out to me when I was looking at it. One is the dragon up there in the clouds, and then we also have the snake. So there's a few different ways that could be playing out, but first let me go to the first thing that I would say. For Chinese astrology, snake and dragon are two different zodiac signs in Chinese astrology. So let me just reel off some of the years. If it's a dragon, it could have been someone born in 1976, 1988, or 2000. I mean, there are other years too, but I'm thinking for the normal viewers of these readings, that'd probably be about the range that would be covered there. And then for the snake, those would be people who were born in 77, 89, or 2001. And then lastly, I would say, as far as this being someone from the past, this could be someone that you've known since 2012 or 2013. So I just wanted to get that out of the way first, just because, seeing those two symbols in that card, we don't see that in the regular Strength card, for example. You just see the woman with the lion. So I figured maybe that's going to have some significance for some of you. For others of you, though, this could just be saying that this is a passionate connection and you were trying to contain that passion. For others of you, this could be saying that this is actually, well, you know that saying, snake in the grass. So maybe you reconnected with someone from your past, but maybe it wasn't the healthiest connection. I mean, if you think about it, this woman's hanging out in a field with a lion and a snake, you know what I mean? So maybe it's saying that, yeah, you might have reconnected with someone from your past, but it might have been a toxic connection. So something to keep in mind there. And that happens too. Like we said, you know, with the Venus retrograde energy, Mercury retrograde energy. Yeah, sometimes you will reconnect with people, but sometimes it's to learn a lesson if you hadn't learned it the first time around. So maybe, you know, oh, I missed this person. You know, sometimes we romanticize how connections were in the past once they're gone. And then when we reconnect with them, it usually doesn't take too long for us to realize, yeah, you know what, I think I remember why I broke up with this person to begin with. So that could be what's going on there. But like I said, on the less controversial angle, it could just be saying that you were dealing with a Leo. And maybe those years that I pointed out could be when they were born, or possibly when you've known them since, like I said, maybe 2013 or whatever, 2012, 2013. All right. And in the past position for your potential love interest, we have the Prince of Cups. So this is actually the equivalent of the Knight of Cups in the regular deck, the Rider-Waite Tower that we're used to using. So this could be saying that it's potentially a Pisces that you're dealing with, or this could just be saying that, you know, they came in and made a love offer to you. So, I mean, that's the vibe that I'm getting more than anything, especially because if we look at the Strength card, she has her back turned. So that makes me feel that, you know, maybe this was someone new. So this is the most likely scenario I'm seeing so far, that there was someone new that made an offer to you in the past. But instead, you reconnected with a past connection between the Six of Cups and the Strength card with her having her back turned to everything. I have the feeling that you reconnected with someone. Definitely could have been a Leo, but it could have been any zodiac sign. The line could also represent not just a Leo, but also, like I said, the passion. Maybe it was a very passionate connection from your past, and maybe you even knew that it wasn't the best connection with the snake being there and everything, but, you know, the passion was too much for you to pass up, so you went back to that connection. And then the clarifier card for this is actually the Queen of Swords. So, like we said, it could have been perhaps a Pisces or any water sign, but I'm really getting more of a vibe that this is just the energy saying that they were the ones who made a love offer to you. And with the Queen of Swords, this could be saying that it was an air sign, since that's clarifying the Prince of Cups, right? If we're going to go with the angle that this is the energy they were in, then, all right, if that's the energy they're in, what sign do they represent? Possibly an air sign. Queen of Swords is usually my Libra card. And again, since this is a past influence position right now, this could also just be pointing to the time of Libra. So, and Venus started its retrograde in your sign, and then it went into Libra as well. So that could just be saying that when Venus moved into Libra, that was when you reconnected, or that was when they made the love offer. And could also just be pointing back to the time of Libra. But another thing that came out to me too is that looking at the artwork here, it looks like there's someone carrying three people carrying a casket in the background. And, you know, sometimes they say that this is the card of a widow, the Queen of Swords. So it could be that this person had just gotten out of a relationship. So maybe that is the same person and you turned your back on it because, you know, like, you know what? Because if you look at the image here, she's trying to close the lion's mouth, it looks like, which, you know, could just be saying trying to control the passion. So maybe you really did feel that connection with this person. You felt like you've known them forever, but you also knew, okay, they're just getting out of a relationship. I don't think it's a good idea to move forward with them right now. You know how that goes. Sometimes that could be a little tricky. When people just get out of a relationship, be like, all right, that could cloud things in the new relationship. So that could be how that played out. In the present position, as far as your influence on a potential relationship, we have the Queen of Coins. And this is actually the equivalent to the Queen of Pentacles, and I consider this to be the Capricorn card. So, this could just be saying that you're taking on that energy of Capricorn, which is the very stable energy, seeking stability too. Maybe it's just saying you were also focused more on finances. That's certainly a possibility. And if we're looking at a timeline, the sun will be going into Capricorn towards the end of this month. So that could just be pointing to an actual timeline. But to me, this could just be saying that now you're at the point where maybe you do want something more stable. That's the main thing that I'm getting there. And then with the clarifier card for that, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So this is one of those things where this is actually my court card for Virgo normally, but what I'm getting here more than that is that this is you perhaps making an offer to this person. So again, like I said, in the past the timing seemed to be off, right? Maybe you were reconnecting with someone, you still had that past karma to work out with someone, and now you're at the point where like, okay, now I'm ready to move forward with something a little more stable. And that would be you making the offer if that's the case. But one thing that sticks out to me, if we're looking at this as a clarifier, you look at the artwork here, this person looks pretty open and receptive, right? So maybe it's saying you would feel more comfortable, or you just, in general, you are more comfortable letting things come to you. But now you're like, all right, you know what? Maybe I have to be the one to make the move this time, because if they already made an offer to me and I turned them down, you know what I mean? All right, well, now I might have to be the one to make the move this time. But the reason I say that is because we look at the Knight, obviously they have armor. So, to me that presents feeling guarded. And the Knight of Pentacles is also the slowest moving of the Knights. So to me, this could just be saying that you're not as comfortable being the one who goes forward to make the offer, but for whatever reason, you might decide that that's what you have to do this month. So that's the main vibe that I'm getting there. And in all fairness, if we look at the direction that the Knight is pointed in, they're pointed back to that past too. So again, this could just be you going back to that past connection yet again. So you guys don't know how it resonates for you, but those are the main messages that I was getting there. Moving on to the present position of your love interest and their influence on the potential relationship. We have the oppression card. So this is actually the equivalent of the Tower card in the Rider-Waite deck. So this could just be pointing to a few things. This could just be saying that they're moving on at this point. That's one possibility. The reason I say that is, the Tower, you think about the Tower in the Rider-Waite. It looks like there's a couple falling out of the Tower. And or just that maybe, you're interested in something stable and maybe they're not at that point now for whatever reason. But if you look at these waters here, it looks like choppy waters in the background, right? And then if you look at it, it looks like she's holding a crown in her hand. So that's what makes me draw that parallel between this woman and that woman. I mean, they definitely look like they're different women, but there's definitely some similarities that make me think that this could just be saying that, maybe you do extend that offer to them and they might turn it down. That's one way I could see that playing out. Another thing, though, is, with the Tower position, it could just be saying that it throws them for a loop. And the reason I say that is the clarifying card for that is the Three of Cups. So the Three of Cups represents celebration. So it could just be that, it could just be saying that this is how they felt coming into this until you give them that offer. Maybe, again, they made the offer to you in the past. It was turned down because you were still dealing with someone from your past. And, this could just be saying that this is how they're feeling. And, stormy, you could see like the stormy waters there and everything. It looks like there's a storm. You got the lightning in the background. Could just be saying that they were feeling down, and then you come along and make the offer to them, and now there's the celebratory atmosphere, right? Because that was what they were hoping for all along. But could just be saying that that's how they were feeling, and then you actually coming forward with the offer was very unexpected to them. So that could definitely be, and that's where the clarifiers can help too. To see these two cards together, it doesn't necessarily have to be the doom and gloom that you might normally assume that you would see with the Tower. That could be what it's really saying, which is just that that's how they were feeling. They were not, the last thing they might have been expecting was for you to come forward and make an offer to them. They might have thought that it was over from the past, where they're like, okay, well, this person's back with the person from their past, and they just weren't expecting it at all. And then you came along and there's this celebratory atmosphere. But if we do want to explore some of the darker angles too, because there are a few messages I was seeing with this, another could be that they actually do turn down your offer because they're more interested in partying, right? Because if we want to say that this is a celebratory atmosphere, it doesn't automatically mean that they're celebrating the fact that you made a love offer to them. It could just be saying that that's the stage that they're at in their life. Maybe you're at the stage of your life now where you're ready for something more stable, right? With these two pentacle cards and your present influence. And then for them, they're just like, you know what? For whatever reason, especially even if they didn't let go of that other relationship from the past, they're still processing the pain from that. Maybe they've just been going out and drinking too much rather than actually dealing with it and doing the work. That's certainly a possibility for some of you. A lot of people assign this as a third party situation. I typically don't get that with this card. But this could just be saying that they do have multiple people interested in them now. And maybe that's why they turn you down. Maybe in the past they were all about you. And like I said, maybe they just assumed, okay, well, this person reconnected with their person in the past. They declined my offer. And, they moved on and are currently seeing other people. But really, for the most of you, just because of the other cards that I see here, it really can go either way. But for a lot of you, I'm thinking that it's really just more that they were not expecting that offer at all. That's the main thing that I'm seeing. This could be how they're feeling, yes, but then you give them that offer. It was the last thing they were expecting, and then the two of you can celebrate. And the reason why I say could lean that way, well, there's a couple reasons. One, we have the Prince of Arrows at the bottom of the deck, and that actually, in this deck, if you look at the name for it, you see Cupid's name there, so that's what makes me think, okay, there's definitely love there, you know what I mean? And again, these things as far as you reconnecting with someone from your past and maybe finding out, okay, this person actually turned out to be a snake, right? If we look at the symbolism there, then maybe you finally broke away from that. And maybe that's what the Venus retrograde cycle was about for you, was processing, okay, you were still hung up on this person from the past, you reconnected and realized, okay, you know what, that's just not the person for me. For others of you, this could be the same person, where it says, you reconnected with them and, things fell apart for whatever reason, and now you actually are trying to extend an offer to them yet again, which is a possibility. And if you were the one who left them, then maybe that's why they were in that mode, right? Which could be either to say that they were feeling depressed and then you come along and make them the offer and they're happy, or even to say, because if you look at, looking at the symbolism here again, another thing that we could point out is this woman has her back turned on that. They're turning their back on their turbulent emotions, right? And instead of processing them, they're just going out and partying and acting like everything's fine, so that's another message that popped into my head as well. So it could just be saying you guys were dealing with rough energies with all these retrogrades. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But you guys are going to have to rely on your intuition a little bit to see which of those scenarios seems more likely for you. Like I said, the majority of you, I really think it's more that this person was not expecting you to make an offer at all. So when you do, it could just come as a surprise to them. And that's what happens. For others of you, like we said, if this was someone who did have a past relationship, you'll know. If you put it this way, if you see that they're out partying all the time, then put it this way, this is how they're feeling on the inside. But, they're partying to avoid looking at that and avoid doing the work. And if that's the case, you might want to give them more time anyway. That's just my honest thing. And maybe that's what the Knight of Pentacles is saying. It's like, okay, you can make that offer to them, but like I said, this is the slowest moving night. So it's saying, all right, if you want to make that offer to them, you might want to just give it some more time. And if that's what this is saying, the outcome position is actually going to be the most important here, because in the outcome position, we have the King of Staves. And then the clarifier for that is actually the Star card. So I'll talk about the cards individually, but since we were just talking about that potential timing thing where, like I was saying, if this is the atmosphere that they're in, where you have a feeling that they're not over this past relationship, and you get a feeling that they're out partying all the time, so that means that probably they feel this way inside, but they're not dealing with it. You want to let them work through that, and I would say to take your time making the offer. And if that's the case, these two cards together, what they say to me is there's actually going to be one final eclipse in Aquarius, and that's going to be right when the sun goes into Aquarius on January 21st, I think. So as soon as the sun goes into Aquarius, there's going to be a full moon there with Leo. Basically, that's the situation. So this King of Staves card represents Leo for me, and the Star card represents Aquarius. So if we're looking at a timing thing, that could just be saying, look, that this is where they're at right now. You might want to give them time, maybe wait another month, and then come forward with an offer, right? But like I said, that's for those of you who you would know. You would know if they're out partying all the time and what that really represents. If they're out partying all the time and you know that there was a past relationship that you had a feeling they weren't over with, and that might have been why you turned their offer down to begin with, then yeah, let them process that. They're not through that yet. And then if that's what this is saying, it's saying wait for that timeline. That might be the better time to make your offer. That's why the Knight of Pentacles is there, saying take it slow, make the offer a little bit later. Which could be a good idea anyway. Let the rest of the retrograde and shadow energies clear up. Let them get through the holidays, and then, okay, move forward from there. But if that's not the scenario they're in, if they're not out partying all the time, but you get a feeling that, okay, yeah, maybe they aren't feeling too good. Maybe you feel like, all right, they are still a bit down that you turned down their offer in the past. And it's saying that if you do make the offer to them, both of you have something to celebrate. That could be what this is pointing to. So, scenario A, again, you would know. If they're out partying all the time, they haven't let that go, then yeah, that's saying give it some time. If on the other hand, it was that you turned them down in the past and, they might not be feeling too good about that still, if you do come along with the offer, the Tower is saying that it's going to be a big surprise to them. They weren't expecting it, but then there will be celebration after that. And then with the Leo card here, the King of Staves, this could just be talking about, Leo represents the fifth house. So the fifth house is a house of romance and, sometimes playful energy. So this could just be saying that that's what you could take on. The downside of it can be ego, though. So if this is all about ego conflicts, too, because, that Strength card could just be talking about ego as well. Could just be saying with the Star card here that you need to let that go. The reason I say that is the Star card is actually the card that comes after the Tower card. If we look at the numerical value here, we have 16. And then the Star card represents 17. So the way I look at the Star card in tarot is to say that after the Tower moment, your ego is dissolved, because before the Tower card is the Devil card, and the Devil card I see as ego, karmic attachments. Then that Tower moment comes along to knock you out of those attachments or knock you out of that mode of ego. And then the Star card is when you're finally, starting from scratch again. Like that saying goes, naked in your truth. It's like hitting a reset button, basically. So that could be how the combinations of energies are working there. And like I said, you guys will probably get the feel of which of those scenarios will work best for you, because it really can be either of those. It could be more that someone still isn't over someone and they're out partying all the time because of that. And then if that's the case, you might want to, you don't have to necessarily throw out the opportunity altogether, but just say, all right, give them a little more time to work through it. Because like we said, we do have the Prince of Arrows card at the bottom of the deck, and like you said, in this particular deck, that's represented by Cupid, which to me symbolizes that there is love there. And then to take that a step further, actually underneath that, we have the Four of Arrows card. So that could just be saying that for some of these, for some of you, that just means that this person still needs time to heal. There is love there, but just let this person heal a little bit more. And then if that's the message that it's trying to give you, that timeline would be, again, around that time of that full moon in Aquarius. So like I said, around the 21st or so of January is when that'll be. And then at the bottom of this deck also, we have the Eight of Wands. So that's all about communication as well, lots of messages back and forth. And then, unlike in the Rider-Waite, we actually see an angel with, it looks like a spear there, right? So, okay, that looks a lot like the actual arrow here. So, I mean, that can't be coincidental symbolism. So, could just be saying that, there is something there is a connection there. It could just be a matter of timing. So, for some of you, that's going to say it's encouraging you to speak up, just talk to this person. If you feel like, okay, maybe I messed up and they're not going to take me back, it's saying you might have to just move forward and talk to them, right? This is, again, like I said, it's basically the Knight of Swords energy there. So that could just be talking about you have to come in and communicate to them. Eight of Wands giving you the same message. For others of you, if you can see that, okay, they're clearly not over the other person from the past. So even if you broke off your connection from the past, you can tell that they're still not over theirs. They're out partying all the time, whereas you're ready for something more stable. It's like, okay, then maybe hold off on that a bit and see what happens. All right, lastly, we'll read the Oracle card that you guys got. It's Y. And there's the artwork for it, and it's number 31, if that holds any significance for you. So we'll read through the messages there and wrap up. Okay. It says essential meanings. Motives, driving intention, the power of knowing the why. The Oracle's message. There is great power in understanding your motives right now. The Oracle asks you to be very clear about why you're asking this question, looking for this answer, behaving in this way, and, most importantly, making this choice. Knowing your why is the key to fulfillment. When you are clear about it, your intention will then be a magnet for miracles. Motives define the nature of your experience. When you think about something, feel it, and then act on it. This invisible why is the life force energy within the seed, which brings it to life and holds the potential for growth. So, I mean, we could definitely add that message to this spread if you think about it, because mainly the part that sticks out to me, it says when you think about something, feel it, and then act on it. So, the Queen of Coins, like I said, to me is that's a Capricorn energy, which is, if you think about them, they're very stable, even keel. That's basically the standard energy that you would apply to that person. And then the Knight of Pentacles, again, being a slow-moving knight, is to say that, even them, they tend to think things over. That represents Virgo, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So again, thinking things over, communicating, Prince of Arrows, Eight of Wands. This could just be saying think things through. And that's what I was saying too, as far as you'll know which scenario you fit into, which is to say whether you know that they're not over someone else and they're out partying all the time because of that. That means that, okay, their partying is really just masking what they need to deal with, which, like we said, we see them having their back turned on the water there, which the water represents the emotions, very choppy as we can see. They have a storm going on inside, they need to deal with that before they could be in a healthy connection. Whereas for others of you, like I said, if you do think that they are over the person from the past, and it was really you who were reconnecting with someone, and now you realize that person wasn't right for you, and now you're the one who wants to connect with this person, it's saying, well, alright, even if you feel like they're still feeling that way, if you make them that offer, then you should be able to move forward with them, and then it should be pretty healthy from there. Alright, the relationship message itself says, we don't always know why we engage in our relationships in the way we do, mostly because our feelings aren't always logical. Now is the time to recognize you are being triggered by someone else, or if your behavior is motivated by unresolved issues in the past. When you ask yourself, why am I feeling like this, and why did I say that, and spend some time in introspection, the answers may be surprising. Listen to the messages from your intuition, knowing deep within you. What does it tell you about yourself and others? In the end, life is all about being loved. Miracles and a deep understanding of your needs and how to get them met are the buried treasures of the why. Uncover them by posing the most powerful question you can ask yourself and your partner today. Why? So there's something to be said for that too. Like I said, if it is where maybe in the past you were dealing out of ego and, maybe you felt, for example, that, they needed to work harder, let's say. A lot of you guys aren't immature like that, but it could have been some of you were acting that way. And maybe, like I said, maybe you went back to a connection that you knew was a little bit toxic. Like we said, we have a snake here, a lion here. As much as you may love those animals, it might not be the best idea to just go out in the field with them too. So could just be saying that you went back to a connection you knew was toxic, and then if that's the case, well, why did you do that, right? If this is the person you wanted to be with, why did you, instead of moving forward with them, go back to a connection you knew was wrong for you? That could be what that's saying. And then also the why now is, okay, well, if you really do want to be with this person, why are you so guarded as you move forward to make the offer to them, right? Or if they're out partying all the time, why are they out partying all the time? Is it because they have some unresolved issues they need to work through? And like I said, let your intuition play a part in that as well. So hopefully that provided some clarity and insight for you guys. It's kind of funny to me that even the Oracle card is why, which is to say there definitely seems to be some open-ended things in this reading that you will need to really apply your intuition to. But you guys can handle it. You guys are water signs, and you guys always do your research on things, so I'm sure you figured it out. But we'll wrap up there, guys. Hope you have happy holidays and a happy new year. I'll see you all in January. All right, bye.